Thank you everyone for joining us this morning. We're really excited to kick this new digital marketing series off today. I think for those of you who attend, you'll certainly take away some hints and tips that you'll be able to implement yourself. A big part of this series is going to be focused on actually jumping in under the hood and exploring some of the awesome tools that are available to you guys in order to establish a strong digital footprint. For those of you who haven't attended one of my presentations before, I'll just introduce myself. So as Nicole mentioned, I am the owner and founder of TMD Winnipeg, or the Marketing Department Winnipeg. We're a small digital marketing agency that's been open here in the city for almost 6 years now. And through the course of our 6 years, we've really focused our efforts on helping small businesses establish strong digital footprints. So we can help with everything from web design and development through to social media management, review generation, and even listing portfolio campaigns. So we can help you build lots of strong listings across the web. So the series that we're going to jump into this fall are going to cover a range of different things. So first of all, website. So today's presentation, we're actually going to go through the process of building and managing a website. I'm going to show you how to set up a website that is designed for lead generation purposes. So we'll actually go ahead and add things like email sign-up forms and social sharing tools and even chat bots and pop-ups as well. The second presentation in the series is going to focus on listings. So what listings are basically mentions of your business's core information. So your name, your phone number, your address, and looking for places across the web that it makes sense to list your business. So different business directories and apps and things like that. The third presentation in the series, we're going to focus on building a strong digital reputation through review generation. The fourth presentation in the series, we'll talk about SEO and how to get your website ranking better in those major search engines like Google, Bing, and Yahoo. The fifth presentation, we're going to focus on social media, and we'll discuss how to set up and optimize your social presence on a daily basis. Number 6 is advertising. So we'll actually go through the process of adding retargeting pixels to a website and discuss how to set up online campaigns for success. And then we'll wrap the series up with a presentation that talks about monitoring success. So, you know, it's one thing to go through all of these activities, and it's one thing to build a strong presence, but how are you going to monitor it and how are you going to know that it's working for you? So, you know, we'll look at different analytics tools to help you determine what aspects of your digital strategy are working best. So a big part of the reason that we've structured the series this way is because of the way consumers and because of the way customers purchase products and services now. Once upon a time, the old customer journey looked a little bit like this. So, you know, as a consumer, we would be made aware of a product or service through advertising. We then decide after seeing that ad whether or not we wanted to take that next step and actually purchase the product or visit the business and purchase the product. And then we'd share our experience with our family and friends. But what's changed is after seeing an ad or after becoming aware of a new product or service, the very next thing that almost all of us do is we Google that product or service. So we're jumping on our phones or our laptops or our tablets and we're looking for more information about that product or service. Only then do we decide whether we want to take that next step and either purchase it online or visit the business and follow through with the purchase. And then, of course, we're still sharing our experience with our family and friends as well. We're just doing that in a different way too. So Google's actually identified 2 points throughout this new consumer journey that are the most critical with respect to somebody deciding whether or not they'll actually do business with you. One of them is that findability phase. So after you've been made aware of a product or service, when you search for it, like Google has suggested that that's one of the most critical steps in ensuring whether or not someone will do business with you. So you have to make it easy for people to find you, and you have to make sure that the information they find is credible and leads them to want to make a purchase. The other point of the consumer journey that Google has identified as being critical with respect to the next person deciding to purchase is what you're sharing about that product or service online. So are you writing great reviews about it, or are you receiving terrific reviews? Are people posting about your product or service on social media? So there's 2 points: the searchability or the findability point, and also the post-purchase experience. So, what are you doing to ensure that your customers are sharing their experience online? So it's critical that you stand out where people are making decisions. 93% of businesses are found based on information that people find online. So there's a few different channels impacting the customer journey, and you'll discover pretty quickly that these channels line up with the presentations that we're going to be delivering over the course of the next couple of months. So awareness is really important. So building awareness for a product or service, findability, so making it easy for people to find you, reputation, so making sure that when they do find you online, the information they find leads them to want to do business with you. Conversion, so you want to make sure that once they've found you, the information they found is credible, they end up on your website, that it's really easy for you to convert that customer. So you need to make it easy for them to make a purchase, or to connect with you via phone, or to fill in a form on your website. And then last of all, advocacy. So you want to make it easy for people to share their experience, and you want to encourage people to share their experience with you. So let's jump into awareness. What are some of the things that you can do to build awareness for a product or service? Now, this isn't an exhaustive list. It's just some of the more common and most popular ways to build awareness for a product or service. So social or search advertising. Automated emails can be really effective as well. Text marketing, loyalty programs, YouTube or video ads, TV or billboard, even online display advertising, and print, newspaper and magazine, radio and word of mouth. So these are all awesome platforms to help you build awareness for a product or service. The next step in the consumer journey, you'll remember, was findability, so making it easy for people to find you. So some of the things that you can do to ensure that people find you easily and quickly on their preferred search platform are things like investing in SEO, so making sure that your website functions technically well and it's built to Google's best practices. It loads quickly. The title tags and things like that are applied appropriately. Now, SEO is often considered a long-term game. It's a strategy that takes a little while to get going. So if you're looking for leads faster, pay-per-click ads or Google ads are a great way to get you right to the top of Google without having to wait for your SEO strategy to kick in. Google Maps and Apple Map listings, so making sure you're listed on those map applications. Different online business directories. So, if you're in an industry, or if you're a restaurant, for example, a great business directory for you to be associated with would be Yelp. So there's lots of different business directories that are relevant to the industry that you're all in. Apps related to your industry, product or service. And of course, voice platforms, so Siri and Alexa, things like that. So you need to make it easy for people to find you. The next step in the consumer journey, you've built awareness, you've made it easy for people to find you, Now you need to make sure that the information they find leads them to want to do business with you. So some of the ways that you can establish credibility and build a strong reputation are things like creating a regular blog post or creating articles that you publish on your website. Encouraging customers who have had a great experience to leave reviews for you. Encourage them to share their experience on social media. And of course, good old word of mouth. So encourage people to talk about their experience with their friends and family. Conversion. So you've built awareness, you've made it easy for people to find you. The information that they found is credible and leads them to want to take that next step. So they land on your website. You need to make it really easy for people to convert. We have a very short attention span, consumers in general. And if we can't get what we want quickly, we'll just move on to the next website or the next platform that can deliver that. So, making sure that you have strong conversion points set up on your website is critical. So things like book now buttons. If you're a service-based business, perhaps a calendar where people can actually book an appointment right there on your website. If you prefer to have a conversation with potential customers, making sure that there's strong call buttons on the mobile version of your website, click to call. There's lots of things you can do to make it really easy for people to connect with you. And I'm going to share some of those with you today. And then advocacy. So you've built awareness, you've made it easy for people to find you. The information that they found is credible enough for them to want to visit your website. They visited your website and you made it easy for them to convert. And now you want them to share their experience. So there are a number of things that you can do to help turn your customers into advocates for your business. Encourage them to post on social media, write a review, discuss their experience with friends, or even invite them to write a blog post about their experience that you can share on your website. So you want to try and turn your customers into advocates for your business. So there are lots of different channels impacting the customer journey with lots of different different tactics that you can use in order to perform well in those different channels. So again, we looked at awareness. So generally speaking, awareness is about advertising and marketing your products. So getting as many eyeballs as you can on your products and services. Findability is about making sure it's easy for people to find you. Reputation is about making sure the info they find is positive and credible. Conversion is about making sure it's easy for them to do business with you. And advocacy is all about encouraging them to share their experience. So again, when we go back to the layout of the presentation series, we're going to be focusing on each one of these categories. Now, the challenge with this type of approach and the challenge with marketing from a digital perspective nowadays is if you don't build a strong enough foundation that makes it easy for potential clients to find you, and you don't build your reputation, you risk funneling your clients to your competitors. And the reason being, and I'm sure we've all been in this position, let's say you're the business on top here. So you're the business A. So you spend a ton of money advertising your products and services across multiple channels. You might be running ads in the newspaper, you might have some radio ads, you may even be doing some social media ads. You've invested in and you've understood the importance of ranking well in Google, so you've invested in SEO so people find you easily. However, the last couple of purchases or the last couple of customers that you dealt with left negative reviews. So all of the effort you've got that to, you've got that customer to the point that they're ready to purchase, but because your reputation's not strong enough, you've essentially pushed them straight to the conversion point for a competitor. So that's the risk in marketing from a digital perspective. Now, where is the smartest place to start if you're just starting out? We've always been of the opinion that building a strong foundation is always the best place to start. So making sure, first of all, that your website is set up correctly and that you've set up your conversion points appropriately. Once you've done that, you can look at ranking your website better in search engines. So investing in some SEO. At the same time, perhaps you'd want to create some awesome content that helps you build credibility around your product or service, so reputation. And then, of course, as you're going through that process, hopefully you're generating some customers and encouraging them to share their experience. So once you've built that foundation and you've got you're on your way to building a strong digital foundation, only then should you invest in advertising. You don't want to spend a ton of money advertising if you're just pushing them to a digital experience that's not going to be a positive one for them. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to actually jump into a demo, and we're going to set up a website in under 60 minutes. Sounds ambitious, but there are some awesome tools available that can get you underway and get you up and running with the website really, really quickly. So I'm actually going to get out of the presentation now, and I'm going to open up some. Actually, no, we won't. We'll go through the steps first. So one of the questions that we're often asked, and one of the things that's often quite confusing for a lot of our clients, is not only choosing and registering a domain, but the difference between a domain name and a hosting provider. So in the simplest terms, a domain name is basically the address of your website. So if you think about it in the terms of, if your website was a house, for example, then your domain name is basically the address for your house. So it's the address that people type into their GPS to get to your house. It's the same with the domain name. It's the address that people type into Google to get to your website. Now, there are lots of different domain name providers and sellers. Some of the most common ones are domain.com, Bluehost, HostGator, GoDaddy. We generally recommend and have had nothing but great experiences registering domains with GoDaddy. They have a really simple platform that's easy to use. It's easy to register a domain. And I've just found personally that their customer service has been really good. But you can use any of these domain name providers to search for an appropriate domain for your business. Excuse me. I might actually, before I move on, I'm going to open up GoDaddy and show you how simple the process is to register a domain. So we're just going to go to GoDaddy. And quite simply, visit GoDaddy. And I'm going to put yes. So I'm going to put in here WTC demo. I'll put WTC Winnipeg demo. And we're going to search for different domains. Now, often what will happen is you'll be presented with a few different options. So first of all, the .com version of that domain name that we typed in is available, which is great. GoDaddy has a promotion that you can register that. If you register for 2 years, the first year is only $2.99. And then after that, they're $24.99 a year. They also recommend and suggest, and we always suggest this as well, if your budget allows, and if you're happy to do so, consider registering multiple sub-level domains. So things like .net, .org, .info, especially .ca if we're in Canada. Something a lot of people aren't aware of is that .ca prefix, if you are a Canadian-based business and you want to rank well in Canada, Google actually will give preference to .ca websites versus .com websites if they're being searched for in Canada. So it's always a good idea to register both if you can. Yeah, definitely consider .ca if your primary audience is Canada. If you are wanting to reach further than Canada and you're wanting to reach into the US or other countries, .com is always a good idea to use as well. And then it can't hurt to, again, register some of these other ones too, just to make sure nobody else registers those and you end up sort of trying to compete with them for rankings. If your domain name isn't available, often GoDaddy will make suggestions on other domain names for you. So here we can see WTC Winnipeg Web Demo they've suggested. I'm not sure why Tree Demo is coming up, but you can see the different domains that they're recommending there. Now, something to remember here, or something to keep in mind here, if you are wanting to register a .ca domain, there is an extra step to purchasing that domain. You actually have to register it with, and I'll actually show you here. I'm going to add that to cart. And we'll continue to cart. Okay, and I'm not going to register it. Now, domain ownership protection. So basically what that does is when we go through the process of registering this domain, it's going to ask us for a bunch of contact information, a bunch of contact info. So our name, our business name, our email address, our phone number. What this will do is hide that information from the general public. If we don't hide it, then people will be able to see that you own it, and they'll even be able to see your contact information. So up to you whether you choose that. We're just going to uncheck that. We're going to uncheck those, and we'll continue. Okay, so where I was going with this is with the .ca domain name, there's an extra step to registering that versus a .com. If we had selected the .com, we'd already be at the checkout phase and we'd be paying for the domain now. But because it's a Canadian or a .ca domain name, we have to go through this extra step of registration because they need to know that you are a Canadian-based business and that you're not a business from overseas trying to register a .ca domain. So really, really important that you fill that information out. In actual fact, if you don't fill it out, you won't be able to register it. So that's the step, and that's the process behind purchasing a domain. So that's your first step to building a website. So let's jump back to the presentation. The next step is choosing a hosting provider. So if a domain is your street address, it's the address that people type in to get to your house. What is a hosting provider? So hosting is basically where your website lives. So all the files, all the images, all the content for your website has to live somewhere. So what hosting is it's basically companies that lease out space on their servers so you can host your website with them. There are lots of different types of hosting providers out there. Choosing the best WordPress hosting for your website or for your needs can improve your SEO. It can help increase sales. And again, there are different types of WordPress hosting options available, such as free. So there are some platforms that provide free hosting, shared VPS, dedicated, and managed WordPress hosting. Oh, hey, Nicole, we have a question?
I have two questions actually.
Sure.
One of them is it possible to attach more than one domain to one website? Example, both companyx.com and companyx.ca would take one to the same website.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually going to show you how to do that a little later on in the presentation. But yes, you can have multiple domains pointing to a website. The only thing I will say with doing that is it's not necessarily going to help if you're doing it for the purpose of helping your SEO, and if you're doing it for the purpose because you think it will help you rank better, it won't. So generally speaking, the best way to handle SEO and the best way to get your website ranking well is to just have it rank for one domain name. But that doesn't mean you can't have a .com, a .ca, a .org, a .info, all pointing back to your website. But you won't necessarily rank as well for those other domains as you will for your primary domain.
Okay, the other question is, any comments about security and then certificate purchases, are they necessary?
Yes, absolutely yes. And thank you for the question. So many of you have probably seen, particularly if you use Google, and I'll just jump out of the presentation here, particularly if you use Google, what you'll notice, so see up here this little padlock icon. So this is basically demonstrating that this website has what's called an SSL certificate, and it's a secure website. So the data that people enter, so all this contact information that I enter, my credit card info when I get to the payment stage, is all encrypted. So that's what that means. Now, if you don't have that padlock, it basically demonstrates and shows people that your website's not secure and it's more vulnerable to that data being compromised. Now, Google actually, in the last several months, have stated that they're actually going to start just not even showing unsecure websites. Now, purchasing an SSL certificate is quite an easy process. GoDaddy sells SSL certificates. So once you go through with your domain setup, it'll actually ask you if you want to purchase an SSL certificate. And then you can add that to your website once you've built your website. The process I'm going to show you, or the hosting provider I'm going to show you, actually provides you with an SSL certificate free of charge. So it's already set up and ready to go. But SSL certificates are absolutely critical. Excuse me. Any other questions, Nicole? Or that was it for the moment? Okay, I think we're good.
Yes, that was it.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks. So there's lots of different hosting providers that you can choose from. With our websites, we've chosen to build all of our client websites with WordPress. Now, there are lots of different platforms that you can build a website on as well. But the reason we like WordPress is because, in our opinion, it gives you more opportunity down the road and in the future. So, for example, WordPress is or has one of the largest repositories of plugins that you can access. So if you're ever looking for additional functionality and you're looking for more flexibility as your business grows, WordPress gives you the ability to add plugins and to grow your website with your business. Some of the other platforms that are available, platforms like Square and Weebly, there's a whole sort of list of them. They're great for getting a really basic website set up. But as your business grows and as you require more functionality, they tend to be a little bit restrictive in our opinion. So we always build websites with WordPress because we're always looking to the future. Now, the reason I share that with you is there are lots of hosting providers that have dedicated WordPress hosting. So what that means is when you purchase your hosting through these providers, WordPress is already set up. It automatically updates plugins for you. It does daily backups. It's a fully managed service. And that's one of the platforms that I'm going to share with you today. Now, we actually use a platform called Website Pro, which is powered by Google. So what is Website Pro and why do we recommend it? So in our opinion, Website Pro is the easiest to get started with. It's the easiest platform to get started with. It's basically a one-click setup. WordPress Pro doesn't meter page views or visitors. Some of those free hosting platforms I mentioned, because they're free, they'll actually limit how much traffic your website is able to get. Free CDN and subdomains. So I'll talk a little bit more about CDN later on, but subdomains, as I mentioned earlier, are those additional domains that you might want to add to your website. So the .info, the .com, the .ca, the .org. So it's really easy to redirect those to your website. Website Pro also has a staging environment, which is really helpful. So if you launch a website, so you build your website in the staging environment, you launch it, but then realize, oh, I forgot to change this, or I need to add an extra page. Rather than make those changes on the live website, you can make those changes in the staging version. And once it's complete and once you're happy with it, you publish it to the live version. So it's a great area to sort of test and upgrade things as you go. Website Pro has free daily backups. So every single day, it will take a snapshot of your website and save it in the database. So if you ever have issues with your website, or if something horrific goes wrong, you accidentally delete everything, you can just restore the previous day's version and you're back up online again. So daily backups are awesome. Somebody asked about the SSL certificate. So Website Pro comes with an SSL certificate for free. Built-in Google Analytics, free migrations. So if you're hosting with somebody else, you can easily migrate over to Website Pro. And of course, malware scanning. So because it is hosted with Google, it is very, very secure. So I'm going to go through a few more slides now, but then we'll jump into the Website Pro platform so I can show you that. So Website Pro is a hosting solution that allows you to design and develop WordPress websites. It gives you access to the Google Cloud platform, gives you access to an easy to understand reporting dashboard. You're able to migrate sites to it for free, and you can publish sites to production with one click. So these are some screenshots, but I'm actually going to jump into the platform so you can take a look at it now as well. Okay, so I set up a demo account earlier today. Oh, we have another question, Nicole?
Yes, just give me 1 second here. We did have, if everybody could just make sure to put all your questions in the Q&A, because I don't want to miss any questions, and some are going through the chat and to the Q&A. So if we can just send them to the Q&A, that'd be great. But I do have a couple in the chat here I just don't want to miss. What are best practices in choosing and promoting a domain name? You mentioned that in Canada, the domain will be prioritized. Should I choose .ca over .com if I have a North American audience?
Yeah, I think, thanks for the question. Yes, I think, first of all, that the question you need to ask yourself is, are you primarily doing business in Canada? And if the answer is yes, then definitely a .ca domain. If your intention is to also do business in the US or Mexico or wherever, .com is going to be great as well. I always recommend, if they're available, to just purchase both and just utilize both. Now, as far as best practices with respect to choosing the wording for your domain, you want to make it as easy and simple for people to remember as possible. So if your business name isn't available for some reason, find something that's going to be really easy for people to remember. Again, going back to the explanation of what a domain name is, it's your address. So you want to make it easy for people to remember and be able to type into Google.
Okay, and we have a couple of other questions, and then we'll wait for questions at the end because I want to make sure that we have enough time to get through everything. We have Michael's asking, subdomains are usually the first part of the domain name you register. Example, shop.google.com. Shop would be the subdomain.
Correct, yeah.
So just wanting to double check on that. And then how to enforce HSTS instead of HTTPS?
Yeah, thank you. So depending on the platform that you're using, you can actually, and I'll actually show you with this website Express or Website Pro. So when you connect a domain to your website, you can actually, because this one already has an SSL certificate built in, you can connect both the www and the HTTPS. So when we connect the domain, we actually tell the platform that we want the HTTPS to be the primary function. That makes sense. I'll share with you how it works in a moment.
Okay. David had a follow-up question. As a small medium business owner, am I expected to abide to any cybersecurity framework?
Depending on what you're wanting to do with your website, like if you are, and I'll give you a perfect example. We have a client who is a hair salon, and what they actually wanted to do was encourage people to leave a credit card number when they were making a booking, but not actually take a payment from it. So they just wanted that commitment from the client. So they wanted the customer to put their credit card number into their website so that they could store it, but not actually take a payment. Now, you're not allowed to do that. There are very strict rules around keeping people's data. So you would have to go through an authorized payment gateway in order to be able to do something like that. You can't just keep credit card information on your website, for example. So depending on what you want to do with your website and depending on the data that you want to collect, there are different rules and regulations with respect to what you can and can't do.
Okay, and the last question before we continue, is there any trademark issue in domain name registration?
No, but it's an interesting question. So if the domain name is available and it's for sale, anyone can purchase it and buy it. Where you might run into some issues is with the trade, like if your name, your business name is the same as someone else's business name, but they just haven't registered yet, but they have registered their business name, then you could come into trademark issues down the road there. But if the domain name is available for sale, nobody has claimed it, nobody has owned it, there's no trademark infringement involved there, it's available for purchase. But again, the only issue, and fortunately, we haven't come up against it yet, but the only issue would be is if somebody had the same business name and they registered that business name, but they hadn't purchased a domain name yet, you could run into some issues down the road. But we haven't run into that yet, so it hasn't been a problem for us. Okay, so I'll go through the steps of setting up Website Pro. So basically, the first step in setting up your website with this hosting provider is they give you a free domain. It's just a hosting or staging domain that you can use to build your website on. So you can call it whatever you want. So we're going to call it WTC Winnipeg website. And our tagline will be learning to build a website. Okay. And then we can put that in. We can change that as well. Now, you can, if you want to, if you don't want to register a domain name, if you don't want to change to a .com or a .ca, you can actually just use this domain name. So it would be WTC Winnipeg website.websitepro.hosting. Now, it's not a very attractive domain, and I wouldn't recommend using it, but you do have the option to build your website on that domain and share that link with people. So we're going to go ahead now and, so see if we can, that's a lowercase. There we go. So while that's loading, I'm going to come back to the presentation. What it's actually doing at the moment is setting up WordPress. So it's installing WordPress onto the hosting provider. So what we would do next, again, we just went through this, fill out the form, watch the website be created. So that's what was happening. And then it would be set up and ready for us to go. The next step is choosing a theme. Now, WordPress or Website Pro or Website Express actually comes with a built-in theme, and that theme is called Divi. And Divi is a really, really popular theme for people who don't have a lot of web building experience and don't necessarily have any coding experience, because it's what's called a drag and drop website builder. So it's really, really simple for anybody to jump in and use the Divi theme. The other awesome thing with Divi is there are thousands and thousands and thousands of pre-built websites and pages and modules that you can inject into your website to make the process much faster and much easier. And I'm gonna share with you how that works in a moment. So just some key things to think about with Divi in particular. You can add and delete and move elements around on the front end of your website. So if anybody has used WordPress before, generally the process is you build a page on the back end. So you're in the WordPress editor, so you build a page, and then you go to preview, and it takes you to the front end of the website. So you're sort of going back and forward every time to see and monitor changes. With Divi, you can actually build the website on the front end, and you can build it in real time. So there's no back and forward with the, build, preview, build, preview. It's all done on the front end. Design your page in real time and see the results instantly. Responsive editing, so building responsive websites is really easy. Divi by nature, the modules and everything included with it are designed to actually reformat themselves based on the device that people are looking at. So you can build an entire website on your laptop and be pretty confident that as soon as you pick your phone up and look at the website on your phone, it will reformat and suit the device that it's being looked at on. Inline text editing. So again, down the road, once your website's completed and built, you can actually edit text right on the page of your website. So again, you don't have to go into the back end of the website. You can save designs. So if you built an awesome page that you think you'll use later on for a different page, you can just save it. And then down the road, when you want to use that page again, you would just inject that page into the website. Global elements and styles. So you can manage your entire website's global elements. So basically text, fonts, colors, you enter them once, and then across the website, it'll all be consistent. and then undo, redo, and revisions. So it works like modern software. You can easily go back, redo, or even go back 3 or 4 different versions to the one that you prefer. So if you make a mistake, it's really easy to correct. So I'm going to jump back into the Website Express. Okay, so again, I mentioned that Website Pro or Website Express has Divi built in. So these first couple of themes that you see here, these aren't Divi, or these first 3. These are just standard WordPress themes. Now, you can choose those if you like. They are a little more difficult if you're a first-time website builder, because there's a lot more involved with setting those up. But if you're a first-timer and you're just wanting to get a website up and running quickly, these themes here are all ready and built and available for you to use. Now, these ones even have WooCommerce installed. So if you wanted to sell products and services on your website, these already have all of that built in for you. Now, I'm going to choose this one just for, let's have a preview of it first. It's just taking a second to load here. Okay, so this is the website that I'm going to install as a template to get started with. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to use that template. Okay, so that's going to take a couple of moments to actually set up and load. We'll just give that a second. Jump back here. Now, once the website is set up, and we'll jump back into it in a moment, the next step is to choose your plugins. So what are plugins and why are they important? So as I mentioned earlier, they add functionality to your website. A lot of the DIY website builders that are out there are fairly square, like they're in a box. So if you ever need to step outside of that box and you ever need to add functionality that they don't offer, it's very, very difficult. Whereas again, with WordPress, there are literally thousands and thousands of different plugins that you can use to improve the functionality of your site and to give you more room for growth down the road. So, you know, whether you need to add additional contact forms, improve your SEO, there's performance plugins that you can increase the speed of your website, create an online store with plugins like WooCommerce, or even offer email opt-ins. All of those things are available as a plugin. You just plug them into your website. Now we have some favorites that we use on most of our websites. One of them is called Bloom. Now Bloom is basically an email opt-in plugin. So if you have a MailChimp or Constant Contact account, we can actually set Bloom up and connect those accounts. So what will then happen is you can create these beautiful looking opt-in forms or email sign-up forms with Bloom that you can install throughout your website, and then they'll automatically be added to your email lists. Monarch is an awesome social media plugin. So it gives you some incredible options to improve the social media sharing capabilities of your website. And I'm actually going to show you some of these in a moment. Yoast SEO. So this is an awesome plugin that helps you, as you're going through the website build process, ensure that your pages are built to SEO best practices. So it'll actually analyze the content of the page that you've built, and it'll tell you what needs to be improved through a step-by-step list of instructions. Jetpack is a great plugin, particularly if you're wanting to use e-commerce. Jetpack is one of the plugins that powers the automatic shipping prices, and it powers the taxes and things like that. So it is a great plugin if you're looking at an e-commerce solution. WP Optimize is an awesome plugin to help with the performance of your website. So what all of these plugins have too, by the way, once you install them, they have step-by-step guides to help you utilize them as best as possible. So while it might seem overwhelming at first, they are actually really easy to install and implement. So don't be too afraid to go through that process. And then, of course, again, if you're looking at selling products and services on your WordPress website, then WooCommerce is a great solution for that. So we'll just jump back to the website now. Okay, so here is our website dashboard. So this is, our hosting dashboard. So this is where our website is hosted. We've just set up hosting for our brand new website. So a couple of things to look at is, first of all, analytics. So this hosting platform has a built-in analytics platform or built-in Google Analytics. So as people start visiting the website, you'll actually see all of those stats show up in here, right on this homepage. Now, if you already have a website that you've imported and you already have a Google Analytics account, you can easily connect that here as well. So it'll pull in your analytics data as opposed to starting fresh. The other thing that the homepage has is what's called a content or CDN. So what this will actually do is store a version of your website on Google's CDN. So depending on where people are visiting your website from, it'll actually deliver your website to them faster. So it helps to speed up the delivery of your website. It also has a cache. So every time you make a change to your website, you can actually flush the cache. And what that will do is remove previous versions of your website from everybody's browsers and from everybody's devices, and only show them the freshest, newest version. So you can flush the cache to view the latest changes. So really simple, easy to view dashboard. I'm going to jump into the actual website in a moment, but I just want to show you up here. So in the domain section, we'll just remove that for now. Actually, what I'm going to do is quickly jump over to another website. Hang on one second. Okay. Okay. So okay, there we go. So up here is where you connect your domains. So we can see in here, there are lots of, I have lots of different domains. So I have tmd.marketing connected. I have tmdmarketing.ca, tmdwinnipeg.ca, www.tmd.marketing, TMD marketing. So we can see all those domains that I have here. So once you connect the domain, it will actually automatically apply that SSL certificate and force it to show the HTTPS version of the website. So hopefully that answers that question from earlier today. Now, connecting a domain is actually really, really easy. So, and I'll just click on, actually we'll go back here. So connecting a domain is as simple as going into your GoDaddy account, clicking on the domain that you've purchased, and it'll basically say DNS management or domain name management. So if you click on that domain name management button, there'll be a list of they're called records. So there'll be a list of different records that are just in a holding phase. They're just sitting there waiting to be used. If you go to the CNAME record and pop that host.websitepro.hosting in there, and then you go to the ANAME record, that's all you need to do. Once you've done that, it usually, it can take up to 48 hours to propagate and to connect your domain with your website. I've never seen it take that long. Like when we've built a website and connected it, it's taken no more than an hour or so. But once you've connected that domain, you can then come in here and pick the primary domain. So whatever you want your primary domain to be, you would just click on it and that will become your primary domain. So really, really easy to connect a domain with a website through this platform. I'll jump in here and show you the backups. So I mentioned daily backups. So here we can see there's 70 different backups going all the way back to October 1st. So if I ever need to re-establish an older version of the website, I can go back and just hit restore and it will restore that version of the website. So if you ever, again, make a mistake and accidentally delete your website, you have peace of mind that there's previous versions of it saved in here as well. Staging. So this is where I was saying what you can actually do in here is this is where, in my opinion, you would make all of your updates and changes. And then once you've done that and you're happy with them, you would push them to the live site. So they would then migrate to the live site. So you're not having to make changes as you go. For those of you who have a little bit more experience, if you ever need to access PHP logs, you can do that in here. And then you can even make your own website templates. So if you wanted to create 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different versions of your website for some reason, you could create templates and well, up to 12 of your own. You can create those and save them in here as well. So some really awesome tools that are included with this hosting provider. Okay, so I'm going to jump back to our. I'm going to jump back to our website. Where is it here? Just give me 1 second. So WTC demo. Okay. Okay, so that's basically all of the technical side of building a website out of the way. So it's all set up and ready for us to jump into the design and the fun side of it now. So the way that we would do that, you could just click on Edit My Site, or if you're more familiar with the WordPress dashboard, you can jump in there. But I'm just going to click on Edit My Site. And it's actually going to open up the front end editor that enables us to make changes and edit things. So just give it a moment to load. Okay. So what you'll notice is we selected a pre-built template, which is awesome. So all of this is available for you to edit and use if you want to. So it's just taking a second to fully load here. Okay. It's even imported my contact details, my email address. It's imported all that pertinent info. But editing this, if you liked the look of this template, you can simply click on the front of the page and edit the text however you want. So really, really simple front-end website editor. So editing the text is easy. Okay. And then adding images is really easy. So if we wanted to, let's see, if we wanted, so this is a video at the moment, but if we wanted to change this to an image, we would simply pop that in the trash. Okay. And then we would click on the plus button. And then there's all these different modules that you can inject into the website. I'm just going to pick image. Image. And then that's going to open up the image settings. So I'm going to click there. And then I'm going to select an image to display. Now there's already some images in that image library. So I'm going to pop that one in there. And there we've just added an image to the website. So really, really easy to add content and change things around. Now, if you hate the look and feel of this layout, what you can actually do, and this is one of the reasons Divi is such an awesome platform, we can actually come down here and we can click this little plus button. Oh, actually, it's going to make me pre-made layouts. Okay, just taking a moment to load. So there are literally thousands and thousands of different layouts covering, different industries that you can browse. So let's say I'm a design agency. I can click on that one. And here are a bunch of different page layouts that I can use in my website. So I can click on that, have a look at it. If I like it, I would just click on Use Layout. So this is a really awesome tool for those of you who might not have a lot of design experience, but want to have a really awesome and professional look to your website. Nicole?
Yes, I was just double checking on time because we are a little bit over already.
Yep, nearly.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. I just wanted to let you know that. We did have a quick question. Are those images included in the price of a website, or how much does the website Pro cost per month?
Yeah, so the Divi theme that's included with Website Pro or Website Express or Website Pro, all of the images that come with so all of these things that we're looking at here, all of these images are included. Divi actually uses free image databases. So they use platforms like Upsplash and Pexels, all those free image databases. They pull their imagery from there. So all of these layouts that you see are included free of charge, and you can use them. So again, really helpful if you're not design inclined, and there's, if you're a wedding planner, for example, all of these images are included. Okay. Now, with respect to the difference between Website Express and Website Pro, you still have access to all of this with the free domain name, but when you decide that you want to use your own domain name and connect your domain, you have to upgrade to the Website Pro. The Website Pro hosting packages start at $30 a month. So they are a little bit more expensive than some of the other hosting providers out there, but you get access to Divi and all of these awesome layouts and creative features as well. And the daily backups, the SSL certificate, it's kind of an all-inclusive rate. So hopefully that answers that question. The last thing I wanted to show you, because we are running out of time, but just really quickly, how to upload plugins to your website. So I'm just going to quickly upload a couple of plugins so you can see how easy that is, and then we'll open it up to questions again. Okay, so this is the back end of WordPress. Some of you will be familiar with this, but this is the back end. So with respect to plugins, you'll find those on the left-hand side down here. So if you just go to Add New, the other thing I'll mention, all of these layouts and themes that you see in Website Pro, they already have a bunch of plugins added. So we've already added a few different optimization plugins and image optimization plugins and things like that. So before you start adding your own, just take a look at what's in here. But if you wanted to add Yoast, so SEO, you would just search for SEO in the search bar, and there is Yoast right there. So we click on install, and we click on activate once it's installed. Now, Yoast is the most popular SEO plugin on WordPress. As you can see there, there's over 5 million active installations. And Yoast are constantly updating and upgrading their plugin. So it's really, it's always up to date. It's a great plugin. So once you've activated it, it'll actually take you through a setup, or it'll walk you through how to set it up. We're not going to do that though. So here it is here. Start processing and speed up your site. So it'll take you through a setup process, but as I said, we won't go through it. Here we go. Close that. But we're not going to go through that. So we've just installed Yoast. The other way that you can install plugins, some plugins can't be found in this repository here and need to be uploaded manually. Bloom and Monarch, the ones I spoke to you about earlier, you do need to upload manually. So once you've downloaded them from the website that is providing them, you would just come here. I'm going to upload Monarch. And we're going to install. And I'm going to quickly show you how easy it is to add some of the social sharing functionality, for example. So Monarch, if you remember me saying, is a plugin that helps you share or helps visitors share social media on social media. So where did Monarch go? There it is. So I'm going to go to settings. Okay, so we're going to do a few things. I'm going to set up social sharing, and we'll do a pop-up as well. So the networks that we want to show are Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Plus. Okay. Okay. I'm going to save changes. And we go to the sidebar, and we want them on the home page. And then we're going to do the pop-up. We want those on the home page. Save that. Okay, so now let's go back and visit our website, and you should see there we go. So there's some social media sharing tools now. So we just added that functionality through a plugin. And then as we slide down, we should see the pop-up. Oh, maybe we didn't turn it on. But there's also a pop-up that will show up saying, hey, make sure you share this website with friends or family. There it is. There it is there. So we just added that functionality to the website with a plugin, and that is the power of plugins. You just need to find, plugins that are going to help you, add the functionality aspects that are required, but installing them and activating them is really, really easy. So there you go. We've just built a website in like an hour, and that's ready to go. So we can publish that live on the web now. So hopefully that's given you some hints and tips as to how to build a website quickly and easily and affordably. Open to questions if anyone has any.
Okay, I do have one, and I do want to be conscious of time, so I'm just going to pop something quickly in the chat box just in case a few people do need to leave.
Yep.
And so one of the question is the domain for the Website Pro you're recommending websitepro.com? .my?
Oh yeah, so no, so we are an authorized Google partner. So the only way you can purchase Website Pro is through an authorized Google partner. We're one. There are a number of other agencies throughout the city that are as well. But in order to access Website Pro, you'd have to come to one of us. Okay. You can't just purchase it yourself.
Great. And the other question is a copy of the recording. So this the recording should be available within the next couple of weeks on our website. To just keep an eye out on that. So it will be available a little bit later. And a lot of great information. So merci again, Erin, for all the great information in this digital presence series website, one of many that we will be doing over the fall. And for all of you for joining us today, know that the WTC Winnipeg is here to help you any way we can. We are a reliable and trustworthy resource during all these changes throughout these difficult times. Feel free to connect with us by phone or by filling out our business information request form, as well as other resources that I've just sent in the chat box. We hope to see you at upcoming seminars. Do check out the listing for September on our website. October, November, December is on its way. And note that on February, I'm thinking way too much ahead here, but on September 18th, we will have our great partnership webinar with CPA's advice, charting the course with the Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce and CPA Manitoba. And also join us on the 24th with Erin, who is going to continue our digital presence series with the topic listing. So have a great day, bonne journée, and stay safe and healthy.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks, everyone.